So we're about to talk about property acquisition, which is going to be really important for some of you. So I hope you all enjoyed your break. We have 2 more policy guidance documents as soon as you're all ready. So the last 2 guidance documents apply to those grantees that are buying property with either HUD funds or leveraged funds. And in both of these documents, when we talk about grant funds, we mean both. So if you're getting the money from us or if you were getting the money from somewhere else, all of the requirements in these documents apply. If you are not buying property, you don't really need to pay attention very much. But for those of you that are, you really need to pay attention here. So there's 2 approvals required before you commit to purchase property. And that is before you sign the contract that you will purchase the property. You can sign an option agreement, or whatever you want to call it, something that gives you the right to purchase the property, but does not bind you to actually purchase the property unless HUD has approved it twice. So you need both GTR approval and environmental clearance before you sign anything. And I keep emphasizing the before you sign anything because one of our 2010 grantees did not get these approvals before they signed something, and that was fun. So the 2 guidance documents are 2011-05, which is documentation to submit for environmental clearance, and 2011-08, property acquisition. We're also working on, or almost done with, guidance for if you're funding a revolving fund of some sort. So if you're going to get the money back, what do you do then? But we're not going to talk about it because that guidance is not done yet. So we'll talk about environmental first. If you have ever bought property with from other HUD programs, this is probably different. HUD has 2 types of environmental review. There's Part 50 and Part 58. Most programs have Part 58 authority, which means they can allow a local government to actually do the environmental clearance instead of having HUD do it. Congress did not give us that authority, so we have to do it ourselves. And when I say we, I actually mean me. So it's all the same information. If you're familiar with that process, it's all the same information, but you submit it to us. You don't review it yourself. So this guidance document describes what you need to send to us to get that clearance, and every single property acquisition needs to submit all of this information. Even if, let's just leave it there. Everything in this guidance needs to be submitted. And please let us know when you're thinking about a property. So don't have it all ready to go and, have a complete package before you tell your GTR that you're thinking about buying something. It's much easier for us to plan, especially in the next few months, if we know what's coming. So some of this is really basic. So we need to know what you're calling the property, an address, a description of the property, and what you think you're going to do with it. We understand this is a planning grant. Part of your plan might be planning what to do with that property. That's okay. So you might say, well, we're either going to demolish it, rehab it, something else, leave it as it is, hold it for a while, and then sell it. That's okay. Just let us know what you're thinking. existing conditions and trends, so that's the current use of the property and what's around it. Any direct and indirect effects of purchase. That will depend on what you plan to do with the property, but we need to know. And these first 7 things are really things. You might have someone in your department or someone somewhere that does environmental review, and that person might not be the best person to do this first part, because it's really more related to your plan, which makes more sense if you just look at this. So there's an analysis of cumulative impacts. Individually minor but collectively significant actions over time. So hopefully your plan, including this purchase, will have an impact on the neighborhood, so describe it there. Any alternatives? So if you were deciding between this property and another property, why'd you pick this one? Maybe this just came on the market and the alternative isn't a different property, but just not to buy a property. That's the no action alternative. You probably won't have any recommended mitigation measures. If you're buying property in an already developed area, you're probably not having significant impacts on the environment. And if you are having significant impacts on the environment, then there's a whole other process that we don't even have guidance on yet. So, and hopefully we'll never have to. And if you've done any other studies, so as part of your planning process to pick this property, give those to us as well. And then you have to submit documentation that you've complied with all these other laws that apply. So the Coastal Zone Management Act. I'm not going to go through these in detail because it's all written here, but you do need to submit all these things. Coastal barrier resources. We do need to know if your property's in a floodplain. Historic preservation. We have worked with the Environment Office here to let all the what's called the SHPOs, the state historic preservation officers. If you're involved in this, you know what that means. If not, that's okay. They know to expect your call if you're buying a property. So you're going to talk to them. We're not going to talk to them for you. Noise abatement, hazardous operations, airport hazards. We're not going to approve new construction in wetlands because this is the Sustainability Office. Toxic chemicals, you have to do a phase 1 ESA. You should know it. Someone in your department will know what that means if you're doing property acquisition. And then you can't buy property in historic species or endangered species habitat unless you're building a garden or something. Sole source aquifers, wild and scenic rivers, farmland protection, environmental justice. And then we need to know that buying this property aligns with your plan. So if you're planning for a neighborhood and your plan for this area of the neighborhood is mixed use, mixed income, development of some sort, and you want to buy this property for open space, that might not make sense. So this just is the does this make sense section. So that's easy. The next one, and this is actually mislabeled, it's 2011-08 in your guidance documents. So after you get before you get the environmental approval, ideally you need to get approval from your GTR. before you sign anything. So you should talk to your GTR before you prepare any of this. They should know it's coming. Please don't surprise us. But when you're actually formally submitting a request for approval, we need some basic information, so the address, that sort of thing. The offer price, what portion of the funds will be, what portion of the price will be paid with HUD funds, leverage funds, other funds. A description of the property and the current and planned use. You could probably recycle that into the environmental clearance. We need a certified appraisal of the property by whoever's certified to appraise properties in your state. So whatever that means in your state is what we need. There's going to be a deed restriction on the property to ensure that it's going to be used for the foreseeable future for what you plan it for. So we need a draft of that proposed restriction, including the number of years it's going to be in place. And that's even if you sell it later, that deed restriction must stay in place. And then we need a detailed explanation of how the purchase will advance the livability principles and your plan in the area you're buying it. So a bunch of conditions. The property has to be within your planning area, which should be obvious. It has to advance the livability principles and your plan. You can't pay more than the market price demonstrated through the certified appraisal, and you need the deed restriction in place. If you sell the property later, the deed restriction has to stay, and you can't sell it for more than you bought it for. But you don't have to sell it for as much as you bought it for. So if you want to sell it for less to perhaps a nonprofit developer or something, that's okay. But if you, well, you can't actually make more than, so if you get the money, when you get the money back, that's what that means. I wrote this, I should remember. So when you get that money back, even if it's after the grant period, even if you don't have to talk to us anymore, you have to use the money you get for purposes that further your plan. So I think that's all. Any questions? Yes, let me come up to the mic.
What if you already own the land? We have land that we've held for quite a while that's part of this planning grant. Do we have to go through the process of environmental clearance after the fact?
Well, you're not purchasing it, so
no.
No.
One thing I'd say on that is that I think it aligns with your plan test that Rachel was speaking about still applies. And so from the early going, you should just make your GTR. You have designs on doing, taking advantage of that asset so they can work with you and understand how it fits in the plan.
If the NOFA said that the primary purpose of the land acquisition is for housing projects, if there is a proposal that comes to light that's not necessarily for housing, but maybe for small commercial in a residential area that would enhance the livability, is that going to be acceptable?
As long as it advances the livability principles and the purpose of your plan and your GTR is okay with it.
Okay.
Because then it's advancing affordable housing in the neighborhood, even though it's not actually creating more.
On the deed restriction, is there a term on that? Is there like a timeline, a term of time, like the number of years that deed restriction has to be in place?
That's what you negotiate with your GTR.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we would probably want it as long as possible, but don't want to set a time because we want it to be as long as possible. And if we set a time, then that's what you're all going to go with. So, anything else? You all have my contact information, and when I'm gone, someone else will have this fun job, and I'll be back.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. So we are going to move right into the most eagerly anticipated segment of the training today, the logic model. And I'm going to ask Barbara Dorff, our senior advisor from the Office of Strategic Planning and Management, to join me up here. She'll give you a little bit of the history on the logic model and how it functions. This is going to be a bit of a speed read, if you will. We're going to spend about 45 minutes. She's done 2-hour versions of this. She's done 10-minute versions of this. She can do it at any length that we give her. And when she's done, Josh Geyer is going to join us. He's, I think, the only remaining GTR in the building who we haven't been able to get up on stage yet. And he'll talk a little bit about the performance measures that are going on with the agency. One thing I'll say, as your mid-afternoon pickup, I know a lot of you were concerned about, 20 days have passed since your effective date and this logic model's due, and what are we going to do? We're talking about some slight tweaks to the model, which we'll actually talk about when Josh gets up. So as a consequence, presuming you all pay attention tomorrow and don't doze off at the end, we're going to give you as a parting gift a reset of your clock on the logic model, which would mean that the clock would reset for March 1st and would start ticking at that point. We'd like to take you off the ledge and have you enjoy the process. So with that, I introduce you to Barbara Dorff.
Okay, so this is what's going to, where are you?
Yeah, that's the
All
one.
right, so which one is the one that advances it?
That's a good question. I'm
This
going to go
one?
with that one, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Barbara Dorff. I'm with the Office of Strategic Planning and Management, and this is going to be 101 speed course on logic models. And it's just to give you the concept and how we use them and what you can expect. So the first thing is HUD is using the logic model as a bottoms-up approach to grants management and program management, as well as get a better understanding of what you guys are doing out there. So instead of giving you a set of data points, we're asking you to tell us what you're doing, and you set your data points. But it's done in a consistent method. What happened? No sync here. What happened? Okay. Oh, it's there. Isn't that interesting? All right. But it's done in a consistent manner across the program. So whatever you select, it is done in the same way by your fellow grantees. So we can begin to look at what works, what doesn't work, and what are the associations between an activity and an outcome. Most of the time when you report data, you're just reporting it as what is the outcome, but we're trying to find out what is working and what doesn't work and what causes that outcome.
This is the watch the screen portion of your agenda. It's not in your binder, but we'll make sure you get it electronically. Oh, the screens went off.
See, the
Ed,
screen
we're
is
missing
off.
a few screens in the back. We'll work on that.
They're going to work on it.
This is the strain to see the TV in the front of the room section of the agenda, but we'll get those screens back up as quickly as possible.
That's why I said, what, no sync? All right. The logic model is a tool that integrates program management and operations and accountability. It tells why, how, and what in what you're doing with your program, and it can be used to manage, monitor, and evaluate program progress. And one of the things that I always say to people, don't look at this as a compliance tool, but look at it as a management tool for yourselves, because if you're working on something and you expect a certain outcome and you're not getting it, why are you doing it? A logic model is about active management, not compliance. It can provide a real-time snapshot of your program. So again, it's not just for reporting to HUD, but for you to use as managers. And it can be used to internally monitor your program. It provides common goals, outputs, outcomes, and in lists, and also reporting. The logic model, when you actually see it, it will show you, we try to tie it to our HUD strategic goals and policy priorities. So the first two boxes are, will give you the strategic goals, the policy priorities, and when you look at the tab, which is, this thing is pointed to at the bottom, it's an Excel spreadsheet, the tab is labeled, and you can pull out what A, B, and C is, but you can also read them, and we suggest people to actually print out the document, even though there are a large number of pages. You can just print out the tabs that list these tabs rather than the actual front pages of the model, so you could actually see what you're selecting. And this is the HUD policy priorities. It's job creation, employment, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but it goes through about 6 or 7 of them that are policy priorities. The model has a cover page, and the reason for this is that we hope to eventually get these up on a website, and people like to search a website. They like to search by the name of the organization, the location, the program, and so this helps us, enables us to do that, but it also helps us identify the model and the application that it goes to, or the actual grant award. What happens is very often you truncate file names. You label yourselves, whoever's filling this out does not use the same name that you used in your application. And so when you're getting this model in as a reporting tool, it's hard to match it up. So this cover page will enable us to better match your data with, as you send it in. And again, we follow the simple logic of grants.gov. If it's a yellow field, it's mandatory. So you all had to get your applications in through grants.gov. And it also has a check package for errors, and you can check it to make sure you filled out all the mandatory boxes, or if you don't do that, it'll tell you if you didn't fill out a mandatory box. When you fill out the cover page, it will pre-populate the following pages in your logic model so that you don't have to repeat it. It'll just fill it in. The line drawn underneath is for reporting purposes, and a lot of people try to fill that in. It's locked down because when we say people don't fill it in, they don't listen to us, and so we lock it down. But eventually you'll be able to tell us your grant, because most of these are done at time of application. When you get your model, you can actually tell us what the grants.gov application number was and your grant number, so we can tie the two pieces together. And then if we do amendments to the model, we will have amendment numbers, so we can track how many amendments and when. So this is when you filled in the cover page, this will pre-populate these fields on the actual logic model document. And we have multiple years. You'll see that it has year 1, year 2, year 3, and a total page. So if you're doing activities over a 3-year period, you will fill out, each year is unique, and you'll fill out what you're doing and whatever outcomes you expect in that year 1. You fill out year 2, you fill out year 3, and then we ask you to total it, and you'll see as I go through this, everybody fills out their model differently, so I can't pre-populate. And you're skipping rows also, because we're trying to get associations here, and it's only Excel. So the policy priorities are integrated into the services and outputs, and also into the outcomes, so we can see what policy priorities are being followed, if they're making any differences in the community, because the policy priorities are supposed to incentivize you to do more than you are absolutely required to do in these areas that are priorities to HUD. So we want to see what difference that policy makes. And this is just the outcome, so you can see. In the model, if you see that gray box that says outcome, in the model, it's programmed that if you click on the box, on that gray area, it'll expand so you can see the actual wording. So here, I want to talk to you a little about relationships. Because we're trying to associate what activities result in what outcomes, you can have a series of relationships. You can have what we call a one-to-one relationship, which is you can do one activity and it will yield a single outcome. And that's called a one-to-one relationship. And here, like, we show regional planning, conduct scenarios, planning, transportation, and you'll see all these key words because you could be doing scenarios on housing, you could do scenarios on economic development, so we want to be able to segregate what the topic is that you're doing this on. And then the unit of measure is participating jurisdictions. And so when you select an activity or an output, it will pre-populate what the unit of measure is. And so you'll see it here, that you have the list of what the activity is, and then it'll pre-populate. If you see the line, does this have a laser beam? No, okay. So it'll pre-populate in that first row underneath the gray box what the unit of measure is. That's how we get consistent measurements. And then the outcome is transportation health planned increase percentage of streets served by bike, pedestrian, infrastructure, and the unit of measure is the percent of increase. That's 1-to-1. You can have 1-to-many. So you can have one activity that can yield many outcomes. And I want to preface this by saying there's no right and wrong. It's how people think. It's the logic of a logic model. So there's no right and wrong. But to show the relationship, so here you have the planning like we had before, and you have the transportation, the bike pedestrian miles. You also may show percentage of streets served by bike pedestrian miles in miles, not just that's planned miles, and that's the actual increase in the number. And then you have projected decreases, change in bike pedestrian accidents, fatalities, et cetera. And it's a percent of decreased change. And that's to say that if you have your own separate bike path, do you change the outcome in the community in terms of fatalities, accidents, things like that? The next one is projected increased change in the number of low and very low income households within 30-minute transit commute. So you can create these bike paths, and people could bike to a major transportation area or a hub, and as a result, they can get to work faster. 4 different outcomes from just doing your transportation plan. You can have many activities and yield one outcome. And again, there's no right and wrong in this. So you can do your transportation planning, you can do your scenarios that are developed, you can do your planning studies, and the date, when it says date, it'll fill in a date that you've completed it, and then existing long-range community, local, and regional plans, the date completed for those. The outcome is projected increased change in the number of low and very low income households within a 30-minute transit travel. So the idea that you could do all these things in your plan that will yield that one outcome of reduced time or 30-minute travel to place of employment. So again, this is a many-to-one. We had one-to-one, we have many-to-one, and then you'll see a many-to-many, where you can turn around and have a series of activities that can yield many outcomes. As I said, there is no required way of doing this. It's only telling us how you're thinking and what you're doing to get that outcome. If you are planning on doing something, and let's say your outcome is not going to occur until year 2 or 3. So Excel allows you to count rows. So what we tell people to do is when you have an activity or a series of activities that's going to yield an outcome, you can skip a row and then start your next series of activities. The sheets are long enough. That's why I said don't print out the year sheets, print out the other stuff. But the sheets are long enough that you can skip the rows and have as many activities and outcomes as you want. If you want to show time lag or time change from, let's say you're starting it in year 1, and then the outcome is going to occur in year 2 or year 3, if you put your activity, let's say, on row 1, if your outcome is going to occur in year 3, we're asking you to leave the outcome blank on your year 1, and then on year 3, put your corresponding outcome in, let's say, year 3 on that corresponding row. So if you started out in row 1 and your outcome's going to appear in year 3, you put it on row 1 in year 3. Now, let's say you go to another activity, you skip the row.
I'm just going to pretend like I'm these guys in 3 weeks when they're filling this out and ask the question that always comes up. So if you did that, what do you put in row 1 on years 2 and 3? Do you repeat that outcome, but only show the repeat that activity, but only show the outcome on year 3,
No.
or do you leave it blank?
You leave it blank.
That question, you will ask that. You will have that question in the middle of the night. I promise you, sometime in the next 45
But you leave
days.
it blank because you already accomplished the activity. Your plan was to accomplish that activity in year 1. You're just showing me that your outcome is in year 2. And because this is Excel, I have to work within the limits of Excel. So by leaving it blank and then skipping to the next activities or series of activities and outcomes, each time you do that, by the row separation, because I can count rows in my database, then I can show that it's a new set of activities and new outcome. And like I said, if it's multiple activities to yield one outcome, you just skip the corresponding number of rows and put the outcome on whatever year you expect that outcome. So the sheet will be long. That's okay. It's all gone into a database anyway. And the database tells us the corresponding rows. So here's an example where you skip the rows. They had it in year 1. On the outcome, this is in year 2. The outcome, you put it on the corresponding row, you skip a row, and then you start the next set of activities. And when you're actually working with the model, it's much easier than just seeing it in the abstract, as they say. And the same thing if you have year 3, and you had activities in year 1 and year 2, and you get to year 3, you skip all those rows and you start your year 3. So you can count them. When you're looking at the Excel, if you look on the extreme left, you can actually see the rows. When you print it out, it doesn't print out with the row numbers, but when you're working with Excel, it's easy to count the rows. This is the service list. As I said, you print them out. The HUD Logic Model serves as an executive summary of what you're doing. And sometimes people get caught in every little item that they're doing, but look at the bigger picture. Look at the picture in terms of what is this plan going to achieve, what am I working for, and then the desired outcome. So you may have a bunch of little steps in between. We start to capture those big items, but you don't need to do every last one. Reviewers looking at, and this is for a lot of applications, reviewers will look at the application and compare the model to it in terms of the narrative statements. With your grant agreement, when the OSHC people will look at it, they'll look at it against that grant agreement. What did you say in the grant agreement? What are we expecting that you agreed to do in your grant agreement? And does the model reflect that? And the other sense of review are there appropriate associations? Sometimes people think in stream of consciousness thinking. You know what the association is in your head, but when you translate it to a piece of paper, it's hard for the next person to understand. So sometimes it requires the staff to look at it and to call you up and say, what are you thinking? And then the other one is, are the numbers realistic? So very often, people will put down that they are outreaching to the broader community, especially on a regional plan. So let's say it's a metropolitan area with a population of 200,000 people. Well, you may do a media buy that's going to cover that whole thing, that whole regional area. But do you really expect all 200,000 people to come to your meeting? If you did, God help you. Because you have to find a building, you have to be prepared, all that paper, all that response back. So think about it realistically. While you're outreaching to all these people throughout the region, what numbers do you really think are going to come in and that you're going to really be working with? The next item, are there appropriate associations between the activity and the outcome? In other words, what's the logic there? And that's what I say, what are you thinking? And was the activity selected in the drop-down menu? We have the ability in these models for you to add activities and outcomes. We want you to first look at the list, because people tend to do it exactly as they think it. But on the other hand, there may be something, because we're trying to get consistent data, there may be something in the model already that fits what you're doing and that you should try to use that first. But if not, you have the ability to add. We have limited, I know we went back and forth on this, Dwayne. I think it was 5 or 7. 7, because I know we went back and forth, of how many new items. When you add it to the model, it will ask you to identify, and this is true of activities and outcomes, it will ask you to identify the activity, and then it will ask where you have to enter it into a dialog box. So think short and succinct. Excel only allows us to put 255 characters in the statement. So again, that includes spaces and words. So think short and sweet. And then you have to identify the unit of measure. And that too is limited in character length, because it should be just, are you doing plans? Are you doing people? Are you doing classes? Are you doing exercises? What are you doing? When you do a new activity or an outcome, the word new will appear on the listing in the Excel spreadsheet, whether it's an activity or whether it's an outcome. And that's how we can tell what the grantees are saying should be in the model, because they're labeled new. When we get all those new activities, we go back to the program people and we say, look, this is what your grantees wanted. Do you all want that in your program? And should they be added to the model in the future? So we look at this as a learning piece to learn what you're doing and what kind of data we need to collect. Performance data measures a grantee's progress against, what did I touch? Measure. That's not me? Okay. All righty. Performance data measures progress again. This is really hard. This is like the silent movie, The Artist, you know. And establish benchmarks and outcomes. So we try to look at what you say you're going to do and then how you do it. Management questions allow us to look at aggregate data and also to fill in some of the blanks, because we try to look at what it costs to do this also. One, it helps the program office to identify what are adequate grant sizes. Right now, it's a big guess from the program area's perspective. They're thinking, this seems reasonable, but we're trying to collect that data to be able to see what does it really cost to do this. And only you can tell us that, to get that desired outcome. And we can look at the management questions to see program effective. Did you actually achieve it? It takes out, when you do the logic model, because we have some activities that it may show us how many miles or percent decrease. It's the same item multiple times, but looking at it from different units of measure, that you can, the management questions, we said, you give us the unduplicated count. So in other words, if we say, how many people attended your workshops? You might say that we might have workshops, the same workshop multiple times. This way we get to see how many people actually attended, because if we just take the aggregate data, it'll say number of people attending, number of persons, let's say Hispanic, white, male, female, something like that. It looks like multiple counts of the same people. So we put in the management questions the unduplicated counts. The data analysis allows us to compare grantees across an area, across a region, within a program, across programs. whether they are doing similar things. In your case, we don't have that many planning programs, but in other programs where we have like supportive housing, we can look at those supportive housing programs across community planning and development, across housing, because they have similar activities. We built this logic model based on a guy named Rich Carter, who was like a grandfather of logic models and using performance to track how effective a program was. And so we give him credit in the logic model. And then Fred Richmond came around, and he was a disciple of Carter, and he thought, can we do a return on investment factor? So we added questions to the logic model. And this is the reporting tab for the management questions. And again, we did a fill in the blank, so to speak, to make it easier for you. And depending on what questions you selected, the activities and the outcomes are the questions that you answer in the management questions. Because if you're not, in other words, it gives you a big menu in the logic model, but you may not be doing everything. And so therefore, you're not required to report against everything, only those items that you're covering in your model. So for instance, what is the population covered in your planning area? As I said, it's a summary. Who are they? What's the background? What's the race, ethnicity, economic makeup, things like that that we can derive from the model. What planning activities are covered in your plans? What does it cost to develop the plans, including federal, local, and private investment? So we're getting a picture of what it really costs. What is the anticipated cost of the plans to be implemented? What positive change would occur if in the planning area as a result of the plan implementation? So those are the big questions that HUD as an agency is interested in learning about these programs. And then what does it cost per outcome? And that's the return on investment. And then what is the value of this successful outcome? And again, what is the return on investment when you get to it? So if you take, this is simple. I'm just trying to make it simple. Do not do deviations, correlations, just simple math. Let's keep this simple to begin with. So what is the population you're serving? 100,000. I'm just keeping it simple here. Who are they? Communities in the following localities and areas needing to address short and long-term education, transportation, housing, economic community development needs, and services. Simple statement. And you'll list which communities are there. What plans are you developing? And you'll tell us, you know, transportation, housing, economic development, whatever it is. What does it cost per outcome? So if I'm spending $400,000 in 50 communities, it comes out to $8,000 per community. Like I said, simple math. Don't worry about the cross-fertilization and everything else, just simple math. And if you have $2 million for industrial commercial investment, it yields 150 jobs. It's $13,333 per job. Just simple math. The return on investment per year, if each job is worth $35,000 per year in annual income and benefits, it comes out to $5,250,000. Again, it's simple math based on whatever numbers you give us. The logic model data is compiled into Microsoft Access, the database that supports individual program data and analysis as well as aggregate agency data. So we get to know what you're doing. We also can do it across the whole program. Or if there's similar programs across programs within the agency, the database can be queried and used for analysis purposes. We can look at it for grantee demographics, who, what the program, the location, the region, what activities are being conducted, what outcomes are anticipated, what outcomes are achieved, how long does it take? And that's why we started to ask you, tell us if the outcome is going to occur in year 1, 2, or 3, so we can see how long this takes. And the database allows the data to be queried and analyzed by a combination of the elements. We do analysis to determine whether particular services yield particular outcomes, and enables analysis to determine what works and what does not work, and identifies relationships between the services and the outcomes. So this is an example, because we didn't have planning data. This is what the database will tell us, and we do it in pivot tables. And so this was housing choice voucher, family self-sufficiency. These are a whole list of their activities. There's the unit of measure, the sum of the projected aggregated, but you can again do it by individual. And the sum of the total, the year to date. And on the logic model, people wanted to see the year to date, not just the outcome, but if they were reporting quarterly or semi-annually, they wanted to have at a glance what they had achieved the one quarter that they, let's say they're reporting quarterly, what they did that quarter, and then if they had reported in a previous quarter or 2 previous quarters, they wanted to see year to date to show what they had accomplished over the course of that year. So we added that column. This is the same thing for outcomes, and then this is an example, and it's hard to see here, but if you were to line up the activity, you can begin to see that you'll see like 1 or 2 activities that will yield a particular outcome, and we usually show them color-coded, but for some reason when it goes through the machine, you can't do that. But we can do the activities that are the associations between the activity by counting the rows, and that's why the row count is important. And again, these are the outcome pivot tables, where you can segregate by a particular grantee or not. This is the percent change table. And if I had up here the logic model, what you really see as you look at the percent change. In other words, the percent change is the deviations of the grantees from what they said they were going to do. And what it actually comes out like, some will do more, some will do less, but it almost gets like a bell curve. And as you go through the percent change by percent change, percent differentiate and the percent of that, you will see that some people hit it exactly on the mark. Now, when you go across and you identify those that, because we have the name of the grantee, when you look at it, those that did it exactly on the mark, what you find is that some grantees consistently hit it exactly on the mark. And that tells me that they're just giving me a data point that they think I want to see. Because it's very rare, given the circumstances in every community and the variations of the politics, the circumstances of that community, economics in that community, and how it fluctuates, it's very rare that somebody is going to hit it exactly on the mark all the time. So as a monitor in HUD, I'm saying, what are you telling me? Now, when I do this in groups, a lot of times, like someone will titter in the back of the room like, oh, I'm the one. And so what I found that sometimes they're not just giving it to me, they stop when they reach the mark. They don't report anymore. And I'm saying, don't do that. If you exceed your goal, fine. I want to know that. Because you may be doing something that your fellow grantees could benefit from. If I see that you are working on a plan and you have gotten to your outcome faster, or you have more people that will be able to get to transit ways, and I'm looking at you in comparatives, because I can do by population size, I can do by region, I can do by grantee, and if I know my grantees, I can make comparisons because I know who has similar sized populations or urban centers or whatever it is. So I can say, hey, this grantee, what they're doing may be interesting for somebody else. If you're not achieving your mark, then I want to know that also, because I want to know why. What's going on in that community? And I'll give you an example, like in our housing counseling program. When that program focused on home ownership for a good number of years, and then suddenly the housing market died, and they were suddenly faced with foreclosures. So all their work was turning to foreclosure prevention rather than home ownership. So when you look at the data, it tells you something's going on here. And you can begin to see that happening. They report quarterly. So you can see the trends that are occurring. Do we say the grantee is not performing? No, the grantee is performing to meet the needs of that particular community. These are the management questions for that program. So again, we isolate the questions. And we also look at what services and outcomes are not being selected, because maybe they should be dropped from the model. It's just noise in the background then. And it just causes confusion. So if we can do it where we focus on what you guys are doing, we can make the model more relevant. What services and outcomes did you add? Are the items not in the logic model? Should they be added? Are there differences between projections and actual achieved greater than 20%? Why 20%? Normally in a budget, we give you 10% leeway that you can switch dollars within that budget by 10% without going back to HUD. Now, we don't have logic model data to be able to say this is a norm for the program. So if we do it across the board, 10% for a budget, I figure 20% for program outcomes. It's reasonable. I got nothing else to monitor it against, but I can at least, it gives me a benchmark to look at and say, where's the variation? Were projections underestimated? In other words, did someone give me a low ball because they want to look good? Or were they overestimated because they wanted to look good on their application? So I look at it from both perspectives, and again, looking at the community and saying what's realistic. And were the deviations a result of poor planning, or just that it's new to you and you really don't know? What I have found over the years is that programs that consistently use this, their projections get better. Changes made in the grant agreement or the work plan should be reflected in the logic model, and I said we'll do amendments to the model. If an amendment is made to a grant agreement that changes the performance benchmarks, and the grantee must complete another model. And we will, if there aren't too many, we will actually carry your data over to the new model so you don't have to do it, but it's a drop-down menu. It should not take you a long time. If the applicant has modified the logic model form, we can't get it into our database. So if you say, I'm not doing anything in year 3, I'll just take this sheet out. Don't do that. Do not do that. Because we will ask you to redo the model. Don't cut and paste into the model, because again, it won't go into our database. It's a program database, and we're just working with what we got. We do analysis to establish norms. This can be done for both projected and data, reported data. And norms allow an individual agency to compare their performance against a group, especially if it's been derived from historic data. And I'm going to just tell you why we do that. If I say to any of you, what is an outstanding baseball player? What is his runs batted in? Anybody can tell me what's considered outstanding for a baseball player? Runs batted in. What's an outstanding hitter? Most people can say 300, and that has statistical analysis over 100 years in baseball. There are only 2 players. At first I used to say 1, but there are only 2 players, and I forget the second one. But there are only 2 players that got 400, and that was Ted Williams was one of them, but I forget the other name, which somebody told me in one of these sessions. But that is in 100 years of statistics. So when OMB ran Getmore.gov, which was a performance-based system that said they were making assumptions that if you achieved, let's say, 80% enrollment in a education program, that next year you should do 85 or 90% to be a successful program. And I think that if you really compile statistics over a period of time, you really establish a norm for that program. And in some cases, maybe an 80% enrollment is really excellent, equivalent to your baseball batting averages. And that you'll never get to 100%. So don't try. If you can establish the norm, that the norm for everybody is 80%, then that's the norm for the program, and that's considered an excellent program. Yes, you may get variations. The other thing that happens, I hate to say it, but all of you are competitive. And nobody likes to tell your boss that you are on the bottom of the rung. And so it also creates, by putting the information out there, it creates a sense of, I gotta do better. And so all boats will rise as a result. But you see the statistics, and eventually you'll see where that norm is. And it'll be over a period of time, and then you can determine what really makes a good program, what doesn't make a good program. Every industry has norms. Why not our grant programs? So that's Logic Model 101. Any questions? I was going to say, did we stun you?
And I will apologize in advance because I'm like a latecomer into our staffing for this grant. But when you were talking about outcomes, many of the examples you gave were outcomes I would expect to see, like with my block grant program. You know, we're doing things, we're not planning, we're implementing. These are planning grants, so how do we tie that in? I mean, if our goal is to have XYZ number of, let's say, housing units in the planning area, obviously that's not 3 years down the road, but way down the road.
Well, you have two different types of grants. You have implementation grants, and you also had planning grants, I believe, in this program.
Are we all planning grants today?
And there are different models that focus on what the grant is about. So there's a DOT challenge grant one, there's a planning grant one, there's implementation, so it just depends.
One thing.
It's supposed to be on.
Censored. Oh, there we go. Okay. So one thing that you'll notice is that we modified what you saw. Barbara's slides come from other programs in the building, and as we mentioned, we're kind of distinctive in that we're planning not, bricks and mortar service space. So we've added some things that we get at that. One of the key things when we say this, we'll say it several times because you'll keep not believing us, but one of the measures that we're looking at for change in outcome is change in projected impact in communities. So for example, if your 20-year forecast for vehicle miles traveled is 37 miles per person per week, and as a consequence of the plan you're doing, you project that the change is going to go from 37 to 28. That change in projection is a measurable outcome that you can actually count on your model. So a lot of the changes that you're going to document are those change in projection. Then also this other fields, the 7 fields, was an increase from 3. There was a mild revolt in the 2010 class when they said they only had 3 other fields they could use, and so we expanded that to 7. And so using those wisely, but again, as Barbara said, if if we say it's potato and you say it's potato and you want to change and do an other because you say potato and not potato, it kind of defeats the purpose of counting. So try to use those that measure fairly closely.
Similar question about the return on investment. Are you looking at the 3-year return on investment or the long-term return on investment? And looking at the short-term return on planning in terms of economic value seems like a really esoteric question. So I wonder if you have more guidance on that.
It's both. I mean, I think there are some things, some of our grantees from 10 had a lot of process-based stuff that they put into their models for the next 3 years, what you'll see, and then they put a lot of projection stuff. But I think some people were able to identify some tangible outcomes that they were expecting to have during that period and list those. So you're looking at both. Remember, you'll hear me say this every time we talk about the logic model, this is a learning tool, not an evaluation tool. And so we should just actually put that like as a ... on any labeling of the logic model because people never seem to believe you. But the other thing is that you are choosing core outcomes that you think create a good snapshot of your program, and so it's not exhaustive. And one other thing I'd note is in your reporting forms, you noticed an optional reporting form that's called the PPRA. And if you look at it, it asks for similar questions like the logic model. So it's kind of a release valve. If you guys get into this process, you develop your logic model with these, let's just say you have 42 outcomes or activities and outcomes in your grant over the 3 years. You pick 10 that you want to focus on in the logic model. You're doing those 10. But after 6 months, you realize, this 11th one is really pretty sweet, makes us look good, and we should have counted it. You can actually put that on your PPRA form and track it there as well. So there are other ways for us to document progress that you make. Others?
And I think you'll find that the logic model is a mixture of shorter and longer term outcomes to try to reflect. I know it keeps. I know it's radioactive. It's probably my BlackBerry. But it's that mixture to allow you to have that flexibility, and also because some people are doing some things longer term, some are doing shorter term. So again, it's a drop-down list. You select which ones are most appropriate.
So a few things as we asked Josh Geyer to come to the stand to testify on performance measures. One is some things I find myself saying frequently when we talk about the logic model. Don't panic. This is really a way we figure out ways to improve the program. Your GTR will work with you as you develop these to make sure they're useful for you and for us. When are they going to be online anyway, Barbara? We should talk about getting them online.
We're still fighting with CIO over documentation for the system. We got a server, we got everything, and we're fighting, internal HUD battles. What can I say?
Yes, and the last thing
it's HUD.
The last thing I'd say is, in that moment at night when you're finishing off the model and you're thinking, why'd they do this to me? This is so painful. Just remember, you're doing one, we're reading many. That's the one-to-many relationship, as Barbara calls it. So anyway, Josh, you're going to come up. We're going to talk about an aspect of this that does relate to the logic model and in terms of the performance measures that the partnership is developing. And if you look in the middle of your table, you'll see some handouts. I don't know if we got this PowerPoint. Oh, there it is. It's up there. So you can put that in your binder as well. 3-hole puncher will be down in the morning.
Oh, sure. Okay. You're ever so welcome.
All right. Can I just ask, where are the grantees from the Nashua Regional Planning Commission? Yeah, it's my hometown. Yeah, so we're going to be living sustainable or dying? Is that? New Hampshire has the best state model, live free or die, so maybe we just tweak it a little bit. So I'm going to talk to you about something that we're working on in the Partnership for Sustainable Communities, which I'm sure you've heard is the EPA, DOT, and HUD. We work together on place-based initiatives and trying to make our investments smarter and more and get biggest bang for our buck. We're working on a set of what I'm calling core progress indicators, which are, and I'm just going to go forward and kind of talk about what these are and why they're important. We have gotten a lot of feedback in the past couple years that these livability principles that you guys have heard a lot about, they're great. They're kind of very forward-looking, but they're not good at really describing things. They're very abstract, and there's a lot of overlap, and it's really hard to measure economic competitiveness as such or transportation choices as such. So we, in response to this kind of feedback, that people would really like to hear more about our program in a more concrete way, and we'd like to be able to talk to people in ways that are more easily identifiable to them. So we started we started developing these core measures, and we've been doing it for about 5 months at this point, and I think we're almost at the end of it. But a lot of work and a lot of thought has gone into it. The 4 primary, I think, purposes for these measures, for these indicators, are 1, like I said, help codify what we mean by sustainability. Sustainability has a lot of different meanings. We define it a lot of different ways. And it's really important that we have a way to talk to our appropriators, the general public, our grantees, anyone who is interested in what we do, in a way that's concrete and relatable. The second is, so I kind of just covered that. We want our partnership agencies to be able to talk about what they're doing in similar terms. We want to be able to make cross-program and cross-community comparisons. That's hugely important, and it relates directly to what the logic model is trying to accomplish, because if we have a set of indicators that most or all of our grantees are using or are being used across programs and across agencies, it allows us to have a common kind of reference point for not only what it means, what we mean when we say sustainability, but what we're accomplishing when we're making these investments in sustainability. And finally, there's a lot of interest in the general public about these issues, and there's also a lot of tools and a lot of research and a lot of writing out there, and I think it's pretty common for people or communities to be interested but not have any idea where to start. And we'd like in the future, I think, and sooner rather than later, to have this set of core indicators to become something of a standard just by as more and more people use it and it becomes recognized. It would be really, really helpful for people for communities, and it would just kind of reinforce what we're trying to do with this effort. So we've been developing this set of indicators, and we have this. These are the core criteria that we have for choosing indicators for this set. And I'll tell you, it's going to be 7 indicators that are tied to the livability principles by these elements, and that's. But what's important to know that is it's 7. It's a small, manageable number of things to measure, and so. But it's important if you have that few. If you're being selective, that you have to have selection criteria that make sense. So we selected for indicators that allowed us to compare between regions, ones that were applicable to all community types, meaning urban, suburban, rural, small town. Basically, there's a lot of indicators that are kind of prejudiced toward one way of settlement or another, and that's not helpful for us getting our message out there, and that's not helpful for different communities. We wanted indicators that had a connection to our core programs, the funding that comes from our agencies. We wanted to be capable of showing progress over time. That's huge. There's a lot of things that seem like a great idea to measure, but then they just wouldn't move appreciably in any reasonable time scale. We are trying to use nationally available data whenever possible. This is key, obviously, for a lot of reasons, not least of which is that a lot of communities who are interested in sustainability maybe don't have the resources and the wherewithal to come to they don't have GIS, or they don't have a lot of analytical capacity, and we don't want to discriminate against people who are interested but just don't have the resources. And finally, breadth of scope. And what I mean by breadth of scope is that we were looking for indicators that, because there's we were having a very finite number, 7 indicators here to measure not everything about sustainability, but measure what we consider to be the core of sustainable communities. Each of them has to go as far as possible. So each of these indicators really covers a lot of ground in and of itself. So the main difficulty is connecting the livability principles to measurement. As I said, the livability principles, they're great. I think they're an amazing kind of mission document, but they don't really suggest ways to measure. They're not suggestive of specific measurement. So this is how we've gone about doing this. So these are the 6 livability principles. I'm sure you guys could recite them by heart at this point. I know I can. And we think that there's this bridge between the livability principles and measurement called these core elements. And each of these elements, so we'll go back a second. So the livability principles are transportation choice, housing equitability and affordability, economic competitiveness, supporting existing communities, coordinate policies and leverage investment, and value communities and neighborhoods, i.e. care about urban form or built form. But we think that there are these kind of intermediate elements that connect those livability principles together in a really, really important ways that speak to how our communities actually operate and invest in ways that are measurable. So the 5 kind of core elements are transportation choice, housing affordability, economic resilience, growth through reinvestment, and equitable development. And I'm going to show you how what's going on here in the next slide. So if you think of kind of like you have the livability principles over here, and they're the kind of the most abstract side of the spectrum, and then you have measurement over here that's very concrete and objective, and you need something to connect them together, and this is what the elements do. So element number 1, transportation choice. This is it's connected to 4 of the livability principles, we think. Transportation choice, obviously, but also housing affordability, economic competitiveness, and valuing communities and neighborhoods. But on the other hand, it's connected to this core progress indicator, which is total percentage of people commuting by walking, biking, and transit. So we think that this is a pretty understandable line. We have these overarching concepts, livability principles. We have them related to different elements, and then the elements relate each to one or more of these indicators that are concrete. Next element is housing affordability. And again, this speaks to transportation, housing, economic competitiveness, valuing neighborhoods and communities. And we're using as our core progress indicator for this the combined housing and transportation costs as a proportion of area, median income. So this, a lot of you may be familiar with. It's a measure like this has been developed by the Center for Neighborhood Technologies. It's called the H+T Affordability Index. Currently, HUD is in the midst of a project to have CNT under the auspices of another contractor re-engineer this for us as the federal government, so that we'll have access to all the data and we'll be able to make it available to the public and use it in our policies. So this is for housing affordability. This is what we have. We think is the best way to measure it. Economic resilience. So this speaks both to economic competitiveness and also supporting existing communities in ways that are pretty, I think, clear to people in this room. And the indicator that measures economic resilience is economic output per unit of energy consumption. And if you think about this, it actually makes a lot of sense, because we know that energy prices are extremely volatile, and at the same time, every single sector or aspect of the economy is dependent on energy and fossil fuels. So the more you would think that the more dependent the economy is on fossil fuels, and the fact that fossil fuels it's a given that they're going to fluctuate all over the place, the more risky that part of the economy is. So the converse of that is the less energy that your economy takes per unit of output, the less risk, the less systemic risk you have due to energy price fluctuation. That's one of my favorites. So we have here element growth through reinvestment. So this speaks to economic competitiveness, supporting existing communities, and coordinate policies and leverage investment. And basically what you'll see, and I'm going to read these to you, they're probably too small to see, but what you'll see is these are three measures that look at developing in the most efficient and least consumptive way possible, which is helpful in numerous ways. So first one is net acres of agricultural and natural resource land lost annually to development per new resident. So that's a lot of words, and basically when you unpack it, it means that for each new resident that you have in your community, how much land are you using? How much land are you losing? How much untouched or pristine land are you using? And when we're talking about these, we're talking about measurement, but we're also talking about incentivizing good behavior. So if for a community who wants to do well in this indicator, the way to do well in it is infill development. Infill development where there already is infrastructure invested, where there's already density. It helps create it helps concentrate economic activity. It makes different modes of transportation more viable, et cetera. That all kind of speaks to when you're developing in places that are already developed. The next one, the second one here is similar. It's percent of new housing units or commercial space built in previously developed areas. That one's they seem very similar. They overlap a lot, but there is a little bit of uniqueness. And then finally, this last one, it's a lot of words. Adequate infrastructure maintenance investment ratio. And what this is, and it sounds really wordy, but it's actually pretty cool, because the idea is that you have a finite amount of resources that to devote to infrastructure. Okay, and we all know that any resources that you're devoting to building new infrastructure are resources that you cannot devote to maintaining existing infrastructure, most of which is already in use. So the idea of this ratio is, of the finite resources that you have, and kind of scaled by who's using the infrastructure that you have, what proportion are you using to maintain and upkeep infrastructure that's already existent and in use versus building new infrastructure? Because we think that that's fundamentally the more efficient way to develop. It just numerically it is. Finally, equitable development. This little sucker is the reason that we're still working on this 5 months in. This is the most tricky thing to measure. It's incredibly, as I was saying, it's incredibly hard to measure this without creating perverse incentives, because essentially the idea, at least our idea of equitable development, is that the people who are in the most need are getting at least their fair share of resources and investment. But the flip side of that, as we all know, is that when you invest in places that are in need, you risk raising the cost of living and displacing people, and that's not what we want to do. So we've gone back and forth on this. We've talked to a lot of different groups. Right now, and by right now I mean as of the past 2 work days, this is what we're thinking of doing. We're thinking of using the other indicators that I've already gone through and kind of looking at them through a place-based kind of geospatial lens, meaning for your community as a whole, let's say your town, will have a percentage of the area that is affordable according to the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index. But what about the places in your town that are low and moderate income? And how do those compare to the overall average in your town? And that it's easier to do than measuring what you're putting in, because it's completely outcome based. And so it says, no matter what you're doing, what are you actually when you're investing and you're doing all these activities, what are you actually able to do in your communities to make people's lives better in the fairest way. So this is the second to last slide in your packets there, and it just goes through the 5 elements and the 7 indicators. And we're hoping that, so this is not done yet, and we're hoping it will be done soon. But we're hoping that it will be made available to you in your logic models, in that you'll find it helpful to use one or more of these, and that it will contribute to the creation of more of a standard way of measuring and understanding sustainability, which will help all of us talk about this in kind of common terms and really make this effort more cohesive. So that's all I have. Do you have any questions? I can take them. All right. Thank you.
And Josh has been leading the charge for our office and keeping this conversation across multiple agencies going forward so that we can actually incorporate this. If the timing doesn't work for it to be a part of your models, then, as I mentioned before, there is the PPRA form where you can select some of these indicators and track them that way as well. So home stretch and emphasis on stretch. Regions 8, 9, and 10. The West, please stand. And we'll start in the East, actually, if you want to sound off. See you next week. This week. Oh, my. Yes.
Thurston Regional Planning Council in the city of Olympia, Thurston County, Washington, about an hour south of Seattle. And we are a challenge grant this year, regional planning grant.
I never know why they're calling. So did you notice how all the West grantees all naturally kind of sat to the western side of the room there? That was impressive. And we're going to shake things up with the seating next time, starting with the high-volume questioners, getting closer to the microphone. You guys can sit right next to it, and then you can be able to hit it quickly. We'll shave some time off the agenda. Salan's going to come up, and he's going to close us out with the scintillating discussion of the secret sauce. And then actually, that's right. Keep it scintillating. And then we're actually going to have all of your GTR and GOs who are remaining here get up on stage for a very important set of instructions before we disperse. You'll appreciate it. So, Solon, take it away.
How are you? Really? I'm surprised. Okay, let's do a quick stretch break. Literally. Everyone want to step up? I feel like I'm doing yoga or aerobics or something like that. If you need a stretch, get yourself active. I'm about to put you to sleep again. All right. Man, you guys actually pay attention. No one left. Someone's leaving. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you for hanging in to what I'm sure for you was something worthy of the Oscars. You really hung in there with us the entire day. I am, if you've looked at your agenda, the only thing keeping you away from, as the agenda says, dispersing to the district. And so I want to quickly go through what my brother and friend Dwayne Marsh refers to as the secret sauce. He did not consult me in the titling of this. So sometime late last night I had to tell him, what exactly is the secret sauce? Is it Thousand Island dressing in the Big Mac? What is it? And I think I've happened upon two things that we're going to talk about today, some of which we have briefly already talked about, and the first of which you see up on the screen. Now, the first thing to tell you about the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment, and hopefully this doesn't lead to a massive exodus out of the room, is that for all you community challenge grantees, here is yet another distinction. This applies as a deliverable of the grant to the regional planning grantees. But, there are several of you who are actually in regional planning grantee areas. We met one already. There are others of you who are there. So if you are in partnership, either with regions that have a regional planning grant award, this conversation is material to you. And as I'll discuss in just a minute, you'll find out another reason why even the community challenge grantees may want to pay attention. Okay? So, as you see, this applies to all the regional planning grantees. For those of you who have already executed your cooperative agreement, your 1044, you will see it listed there as a term and condition. Remind me, Dwayne, did we change language? Does it say fair housing and equity assessment this time? So it may appear in one of two ways. It may appear as activities pertaining to completing a regional analysis of impediments. That may be one way in which it's reflected in your terms and conditions. The other way is actually reflecting the contemporary term that we're using now, which is the fair housing and equity assessment, right? But it's there as a term and condition, and this is program guidance related to that term and condition. So I want to, before I go into this particular slide presentation, to step back. When you heard me earlier on the platform saying that equity and access to opportunity were critical underpinnings, among others, but critical underpinnings of the Notice of Funds Availability for which all of you competed. No one vigorously shook their head no, so I know that's not a surprise to you. And I went a step further, and I'll go a step further again, to say, as I did earlier, that you are here, I would suggest, because you gave voice in your application to sets of issues related to equity and access to opportunity, right? There are folks who are, again, outside of this room who didn't compete for lots of reasons, one of which may be that when it came to presenting their case for why this matters for economic competitiveness and access to opportunity for all, they may not have made a compelling presentation in their application. You did. So congratulations for that, and we take you up on that, and we are joined with you at the hip in making that come alive. So equity and access to opportunity are critical to the whole program. When we focus, and when often you all focus on equity, there are at least two dimensions that play out in the fair housing and equity assessment, and they're going to play out in your entire program that I wanted to kind of focus very briefly on. And those two kind of dimensions of equity are both on the participation and engagement front, making sure that voices who traditionally have not participated in planning processes before have a voice at the table, become critical decision makers in the span of the process. All of the kind of governance, decision-making, consortium agreement guidance that we gave you, that's where it really comes in. So participation and engagement as part of equity, but hopefully you don't, and we definitely don't, stop at just participation and engagement. Hopefully, as Josh just gave voice to in terms of equitable development, there is that pivot to outcomes. How are people's lives better by virtue of your effort in combination with others? So we focus on both participation and engagement and on those outcomes. Our work and your work in regions acknowledge, and this is going to come to bear in the fair housing and equity assessment, acknowledge often the kind of spatial mismatch between where people live and often where they've got to work, their access to affordable housing, where job centers are, where other amenities are, where quality schools are, that often are very far away from the people who need it the most. And so in the fair housing and equity assessment, we give voice to isolation that often segments of the population deeply feel, how they've been marginalized. We give voice to often the painful story, continuing story of segregation, racial and ethnic segregation in our places, and often give voice, as you will see, to concentrations of poverty that are often racially identifiable. All of these dimensions come to bear in the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment. And what we say to you, and what was a critical opportunity for this program, and the reason why it's part of the secret sauce, is that part of what you all have an opportunity to do is to bring the full placemaking toolbox to these issues. Not in silos, housing over here, community development over here, economic development over there, transportation, a completely different conversation, but to bring it all together to say, how do all of these tools work together to make for better places? So the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment for the Regional Planning Grantees is a deliverable of the grant. As you will come to realize, and hopefully for those of you, let me just even get a raise of hands. How many folks have actually participated in analysis of impediments activities in your jurisdictions? Raise them high. Be proud. Okay. So there are some. You can commiserate with these folks about what it has been, and what I suggest to you is over the course of almost 3 years, the department has been in an active conversation around the Fair Housing Act and bringing all of our tools and policies into the 21st century. So for those who raised their hands and said, I have a sense of what the analysis of impediments has been, I'm trying to figure out how this applies to me. I understand your pain. What I can tell you is you are now are getting a fuller representation of this kind of 21st century pivot that the department, under the leadership of Secretary Donovan, is making to really recognize, again, all of the tools at our disposal for change. Real quickly, you will see in the guidance that is now program guidance in your book, a set of things that we can have more conversation about tomorrow and over the next couple of weeks, and you'll definitely be in conversations with your GTR about. We're going to go kind of piece by piece, but I'm going to do it in more summary fashion around what are the kind of critical elements of the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment, because I want to save some time for a preferred sustainability status. But suffice it to say, in your guidance, you have there two things. One, what your GTRs are going to be talking to you about in terms of how to approach this exercise of completing the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment. This option and opportunity that Secretary Donovan has actually come behind, and you, I think, you should be in possession of a letter from Secretary Donovan that probably came to you over the last week to month, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, encouraging as many of you to actually take advantage of the opportunity to do a regional analysis of impediments. Very few of them have actually been completed, but if you do complete it, it can actually, again, count for the AI obligation of many of your cities. And so there are some built-in incentives for stepping forward to do the regional AI. Again, we can talk more about that. And then we can deal with some of the kind of critical next steps. Let me very briefly kind of give you a big summary snapshot of what that guidance in front of you actually tells you. First, one of the huge emphases that you'll see in the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment is to really supply data to you. This positions the department, and again, for those who raise their hands, who've been a part of analysis of impediments activities in the past, usually the burden was on you to collect the data. We are now saying to you, we will give you the data, right? Now, you can supplement the data in many ways in which will be locally relevant for you, but it really is now the department saying, we don't want people to spend time and money and effort in just collecting the data. Let's provide some data to the grantee. And where you should spend your time is analyzing the data. So the first thing to think about for the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment is the data analysis portion. You will have access, if you don't have already, 2 webinars that took place where we actually went through the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment. They will be, if they're not already, they will be up on the website, and you'll have ready access to the Fair Housing and Equity Assessment webinar. And then back in October, we did 2 things. We gave you more information about the regional analysis of impediments, and we actually gave you, in password-protected fashion, access to this data. And you can begin to use the data and the tools that are on the website to start really taking a look at exactly what your region looks like. So data analysis is the first one. The second, deliberation and engagement. As typical of a Office of Sustainable Housing and Communities effort, we don't want you just to simply analyze the data and reflect on it yourself. We want the region to deliberate and engage on the findings. And for many who, again, have been associated with analyses of impediments in the past, one of the first things we hear from folks is, it sits on a shelf, no one ever sees it, and we never talk about it. And one of the things we want to both tell you that we expect you to do, but also help you to do is, how are you going to have a conversation on these issues that we mentioned before, on racially and ethnically concentrated areas of poverty, on what access to opportunity looks like per subpopulation, all the various kind of data dimensions and questions that we can help you think through that. But we expect deliberation and engagement. And thirdly, for the regional planning grantees, and you'll see it in the guidance, we want there to be a bridge to the kinds of decisions and prioritization that you end up doing, right? So that it actually does impact decision making, or at least one of the factors that begins to impact decision making. Again, there are any number of things we do as planners and as folks engaged in this activity where we don't use the information that we've garnered and gathered, and we actually put it in the midst of our decision-making process to say, how is it going to inform how we make decisions in our region? So those three Ds, data analysis, deliberation, and decision-making, are critical for the fair housing and equity assessment. I could talk a little bit more, but I won't, because again, I'm separating you from dispersal, so I won't do that. The regional AI, again, there's lots of information about that. There are actually a set of, and some of you actually have called into these, a set of webinars on the fair housing and equity assessment that began 2 weeks ago. The third one will be this week. They're happening every week, where over the course of an hour and a half to 2 hours, we're telling you piece by piece how to actually do the fair housing and equity assessment. If you have not turned into those webinars, they are archived, so you'll have a chance to actually tune into them as well. And again, there's going to be lots of capacity building support, TA that the department is going to actually provide, a real desire for you to for all of you to kind of make that pivot. And if you did see Secretary Donovan's letter around this whole area of work, one of the things that he said to you, which we readily recognize, is, and welcome to the family, you all are pioneers. If you're going to look left and right and figure out in your regions who's really done it these kinds of ways before, thought in comprehensive and integrated fashion before, you will find lots of folks who have never really done it before. So you are pioneers, and as an office that is a pioneering office, we are pioneers with you. When it comes to the fair housing and equity assessment, there's lots of historical antecedents that people will say that sounds like X, that looks like this, but in the full package of what it is, this is a first for the department, and you guys are on the cutting edge of this work in really getting it integrated and comprehensive. So, Dee, before I go to PSS, should I field questions or tell me what I should do? Up to 4 questions? Naomi.
2 things. We didn't put the PowerPoint up there, but it is in your binder with the schedule of webinars. And also, Solon, do you think this is a good opportunity for the regional and field grantee liaisons to help folks with this? In fact, they could gather together the grantees in their region and do special kind of hand-holding, technical assistance sessions. So that might be a place where you can get extra help.
Naomi, it's a great question. So a couple of ways to respond to that. I would encourage all of you, in short order, particularly, again, the regional planning grantees, to have a conversation with your GTR around, once you take a look at the guidance, you either take a look at the PowerPoint, you take a look at the couple of webinars that have taken place or the ones that are already scheduled right now, whatever information you need to gather, if you're going to step forward to actually do the regional AI, to essentially say, our document is not only going to satisfy the grant for the Office of Sustainable Housing and Communities, but we actually want it to count for the region in terms of its the entitlement jurisdictions and analysis of impediments. We want a document to count. If you're going to step forward for that, your field and regional staff can be incredibly important to you in getting some of the jurisdictions potentially to step forward and to be a part of that kind of enterprise and stepping forward. So again, my encouragement to you is to talk through with your GTR exactly how you want to approach these issues. There's a lot to digest, and Dwayne's probably going to give me more to digest. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Dwayne Marsh, I'm with the grant from OSHC in Washington,
yes.
D.C. Yes. So one of the things...
You look familiar.
Thank you. One of the things I think is important to note as well is this is an expansion or a deepening of the housing work you'd be doing in your regional grant. It's taking it to its full potential. And so you guys have an advantage in that the work that was done to get to this point happened before your grant started. The 10 grantees have been chomping at the bit, a lot of them candidly, waiting for the department to catch up with this opportunity. And so now they're like, how do we catch up? How do we move this? So from the beginning, you'll be able to think about how this fits into and integrates with your plan. Some people or some grantees have housing as the driver of their plan right from the top. Some have it coming in at certain points along the way. So I guess in some ways just saying it could be worse. You could have been in the class of 10 as far as this goes. But again, work with your GTR. We'll figure out how this fits into your work plan. And that decision on whether you're going for the brass ring of the regional analysis of impediments or the FHA is one that will help walk you through.
Thank you, Dwayne.
And that leaves up to 2 questions on this before we close out.
Any other
PSS.
questions on the... Yes. From the corner. Price is right. Come on down.
I know I'm not the only economic development organization who's a grant recipient in the room, and I know that some of the other organizations are MPOs. We're not traditionally, I have 3 or 5 jurisdictions that have AIs existing, and we have a good intent to do a regional AI, and, as you're asking, we're really struggling with who owns that, right? Who owns that AI? Is it the grant recipient because it's in our agreement with you, though we're an economic development organization? Yeah. Is it an MPO, a planning organization that maybe has no experience in implementing those kind of recommendations?
So great question.
So my question is, regional AIs, where do they live?
So this is a great question, and we actually we have the Baltimore region that actually has stepped forward for the regional AI. The answer to the question is this. The individual jurisdictions, right, that decide that the regional AI will count for them, right? It's not the regional entity that's on the hook. It's the jurisdiction that still remains to be on the hook. Okay. What they end up doing is, for many of them, and this is the real crux of the matter, who have often said, my issues related to this whole domain go well beyond my borders. Right? We have never given them any tools to acknowledge that, right? So there are unique things that jurisdictions do, right? And that the regional AI would have to have burdens that they impose that they would actually have to lift out in a regional AI, right? So they don't get to hide in a big regional AI. They have to be specific. But to your specific question, it's the jurisdictions themselves who decide that they want to opt in, that are still on the hook for the AI, right? It's not the grantee. You are facilitators of a more regional awareness, kind of data orientation, and hopefully, as it relates to the full toolbox that we were talking about, the other tools that need to really be brought to bear. Now, one other thing on the opt-in. So you said you have maybe 5?
Yeah, 3 cities and 2 counties.
So for the 5, in October I made reference to a regional analysis of impediments webinar. And our Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity said, both we anticipated and there were questions about it, how many of those jurisdictions need to actually opt in to the regional AI for the regional AI to count. You need one. You don't need all 5. Whoever opts in, it'll count for them, right?
The good news is they all want to opt in.
So we should.
None of them want to be the organization driving the process nor
Right.
contracting with the
So the answer again, both for the answer for you and for others who would have very similar cases. And again, this is where interaction with the office and with your GTR is about how do you talk about that, so that if there is an opportunity for folks who are predisposed toward opting in, how do we get them over the hump, whatever the hump is? That their answer is they're not on, the individual jurisdictions are not on the hook for the whole region either. They're on the hook for themselves, right? They're essentially just saying that regional AI that all of us participated in should count for me. And there you get some efficiencies and a real opportunity to comment on issues that often go beyond boundaries. Short for, okay, so PSS, I'm making a transition, thank you, Dwayne. I'm making a transition to PSS. So I mentioned this before, and all of you at the top of the morning, which seems like a long time ago, we talked about preferred sustainability status. Many of you I know, in short order, actually both knew about this distinction that came to you in having PSS status, already had applicants, I know of some, already had applicants that heard that you had the status and were beating down your door to say, can you sign off on my HUD 2011-05 form? So you already heard, and we went through some of these, about how PSS works. Our desire, even though the entire day has been kind of rules and regs and the hammer brought to you and how many different ways we can actually take your money away, what you will experience from us is a partner in your ultimate success, and you will experience a flexible program, right? So even for PSS, this burden, to Dwayne's point earlier, is not a huge burden. If you want to make it more elaborate in terms of who gets engaged and who affords the status, up to you. I have had other jurisdictions who have made it more elaborate and other grantees who've made it more elaborate. But again, from us, you get a couple of guidance. Now, and this is what I mentioned earlier, you see these suite of programs. They are mentioned in the general section. You see combinations, as Shelley mentioned in the morning, of implementation-oriented programs. When we created preferred sustainability status, it really was toward the eye of already putting resources into the pipeline to get you all to pivot toward implementation, right? But you see a whole other suite of programs in terms of services that can be leveraged and brought to bear. So this is the current suite. But we are hopeful about not that. About the future for PSS. So it got mentioned in the morning, and Shelley mentioned it as well. The question was, so that's HUD. How about DOT and EPA? So we have good news to report to you, but it's with lots of caveats. So let me start with the caveats first. When we moved out on preferred sustainability status, Secretary Donovan was hugely supportive from the very beginning of it. We had a number of grantees and actually a number of agencies beyond the partnership who said, this makes a lot of sense. And if those of you who were in the field when, at the time, Deputy Secretary Sims was going around the country for listening sessions, one of the things he said is, if we can do a plan that can begin to count for multiple obligations, or where the recognition of our effort can count for other agencies, that would be huge, right? So we understood that, and we took note of that. And so one of the great things that has already happened is because, what was the count of how many agencies actually participate in the review? 18 the first, 8 the first year, and 13 agencies the second year participated in a review. And one of the things it did was these other agencies read your applications and said, I never thought this would have anything to do with economic development. And so now, at EDA, the Economic Development Administration, The livability principles that we've talked about today have actually been incorporated as an investment priority for EDA, right? It was the first, without a lot of effort, recognition to say, we want to steer and be supportive and be aligned in terms of these livability principles, and we want to recognize it, right? So EDA started moving. For DOT and EPA, our hope, and it's the current work that we're doing right now, is in addition to that list that you see in front of you, that in short order, there will be a set of programs, hopefully, for DOT and EPA, where your work will have recognition in their competitions, right? Which, as you can imagine, will do numbers of things for you. It will say to your partners on the ground that the heavy lift of integrated comprehensive planning actually is going to get rewarded, that it's getting recognized and acknowledged by the agencies to be the way in which we want the kind of, all of us want the new normal of our work and planning to actually go. And so in short order, again, what we're hoping is that DOT and EPA, in addition to other agencies, will actually recognize PSS status. The details have yet to be worked out. How it will operate have yet to be worked out. One of the reasons for that is all of you can imagine in your own interactions with the agencies is that HUD, as there was a reflection from our Lehigh Valley friends around, they believe they got the 100. I saw that, I remember that. We score our applications, right? We have a whole scoring methodology. You'll remember this from the NOFA, how many points were at play. Not all agencies do that. So how PSS operates in terms of 2 points, that's not the way other agencies actually kind of recognize their priorities. So we're trying to get the mechanics to actually work out and to be recognized while still preserving the opportunity for even other agencies and other applicants to actually come in the mix. If that happens, who will be happy about that? Everybody should be raising their hand. That'll be huge. It'll be huge. And again, our hope is, and I'll just say it right now, our hope is that what it will do is you won't be automatic. You know, you can't be an automatic awardee, but if you compete and compete well, that how you get regarded as getting preferential or favorable status is again what we want. If you get down to the final wire and it's between you and someone else, we want the partnership to say it mattered that you did a community challenge process or a regional planning process. So I see Maria standing up. Maria, to embellish, please.
I'm Maria Zimmerman. I'm the Deputy Director for the office. I just wanted to also piggyback on what Solon is saying, is that right now at DOT and EPA, there are many programs that actually, if your community is applying for funding, by all means make sure that your state DOT or your transit agency, who tend to be the two folks who are coming in, MPO may also be coming in for those programs, to mention and reference that you are a HUD Sustainable Community Grantee. This year, just this beginning of this year, FTA's Bus Livability Grant Program that's on the streets calls on preferred sustainability status. If you looked at the Tiger 4 grant announcement that also just hit the street from DOT, that also again is recognizing. And so even though it's not in the neat bow that we're working on, right now you should have your community, the folks in your community referencing that, because there really is and has been an interagency review process looking at these different discretionary programs, and our partners in other federal agencies think very highly of our community challenge and our regional planning grant programs and are wanting to recognize that you all are in the process of really doing comprehensive planning activities. So no need to wait. Check for that. In the other federal agencies, they often call that other consideration, and so be sure that you're getting credit for that.
We've heard recently, to even add to that list on the EPA side, that on the Brownsfield program, and you heard Matt Dalby this morning talk about how they're trying to recognize the livability principles in their own program and to actually award favorable standing to the planning grant programs on the HUD side. So this sense of, as Matt mentioned, of reciprocity. You come in one entry point, you have a clear entry point into another pathway in a program, and to really recognize that the federal apparatus and supports and services should really match you where you are, help you continue along in your continuum if there are some resources that can be brought to bear. One other thing that's a part of the secret sauce is a encouragement from the Economic Development Administration. So we actually had, and this may actually count for some of our economic development folks who have a lead economic development either agency or organization at the head. Back in October during our grantee convening, we invited some of our senior executive colleagues at the Economic Development Administration to comment on the Community Economic Development Strategy, otherwise known as the CEDS. Because many folks actually in their application said, can I have my regional plan count for my CEDS? And the answer is yes, you can. So that is yet another way in which we're saying one effort that counts for multiple obligations recognized by multiple different agencies. That's the pathway that we want to be on, and whether it's through preferred sustainability status or through this CEDS work, hopefully we'll have many of you actually continuing to think in an integrated and comprehensive fashion. Questions? Or you're ready for your dispersal? Almost. Almost. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm going to ask the, don't go anywhere there, Mr. Gurigis. Sorry. I'm going to ask the remaining GTR and GOs who are still surviving today in the room to come to the stage. We have one more important thing to do before we disperse. And while they're coming up, Rachel, Maria, you should take part in this as well. Come on up. This one, while they're coming up, a couple of housekeeping items for tomorrow. Some of you are jetting right out of here after the rest of the orientation. We're going to have a luggage bay, and we'll put it in the back corner here. We'll keep it guarded. We promise not to charge too much for you to get it out if you're ready to go. You should bring your badges back, although they'll reissue your name tags. You'll have to go through the security process again, and we'll have the people there to shuttle you, but having those name tags will be very helpful. When the GTR come down tomorrow for their session at 3:30, closing out with you, or 1:30, closing out with you, they'll have their calendars with you, because I'm sure you all want to make sure you've got time with them in the near future based on what you've learned today. So we'll take care of that. Ms. Friedman, Naomi. Psst, psst. Tomorrow we're going to lead off. Maria's going to kind of recap the day for us. We'll have our GTR team and a couple of guests, including one who just entered shortly before, Amy Cotter. She's in the back there in red, so we can spot her. You can wave there. Amy's a member of the class of 2010 from Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and she and Summer Frederick, who's with Thomas Jefferson Regional Planning District Commission, will share their experiences in navigating this crew up here in our program as we go through some of the things that really make for the kind of art and craft of the grant and making it successful. We'll break into small groups to go deeper with that. We'll do a little more networking over lunch, and hopefully people won't steal our signs like they did this afternoon. And then a few of the capacity building intermediaries that you've heard referenced will be there to talk with you about the programming they're doing that you'll find really useful. We'll close out with some time with your GTR in small groups, and you can find out what makes them tick and what ticks them off. So the last thing we're going to do is, as we're not having a formal happy hour, and that made us very sad, but when we looked around the vicinity and saw some of the required deposits, and none of us had that handy at the moment, we decided we'd give you some time amongst yourselves, but we didn't want to send you off aimless. So each of our trusty GTR, GOs, deputy directors here is going to give you one of their favorite places in the near vicinity for dinner. You've also eaten dinner in this neighborhood, I know, so that won't be too hard. Naomi had about 6 options. She's probably trying to decide which one to narrow in on, but we're just going to give you a suggestion, and then after that, you're free to go, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the morning. So Naomi, would you like to lead off?
Why don't we start with Maria?
Alrighty. Let me preface this by saying I have small children, so I rarely get out to eat anymore, and when I do, I'm looking for a cheap place. So, Cheap eats. I like near Gallery Place, Chinatown. There's a place called Full Key, which they make their own noodles and dumplings. That's on 5th Street. No, 5th and H, I think. Is that right, Dwayne? You kind of know that area. But also under the heading of, buy local, I live in Clarendon. It's a little bit of a metro ride, but you could take the Orange Line, the direction of Vienna, and you could get off at the Clarendon Metro, which is a great example of new transit-oriented development. And there's a really good chili place called Hard Times Chili, and there's like 20 other restaurants there too.
The per diem recommendation from Maria. Thank you very much. And Shelley, you're welcome to take part in this exercise as well if you've got a suggestion. All right, Rachel, any thoughts?
Food trucks. Food trucks. If we let you out of the building for lunch, they're awesome food trucks. Sometimes. Around here?
It doesn't have to be around here. She just gave an orange stop. That's fine.
I think the closest is probably going to be around the Chinatown Metro stop. There's a